that you've spent 25 years. So you've mentioned that you've spent around 25 years. Looking back, what has changed the most about the profession since you first started, or nothing has changed?
No, I think quite a lot has. I suppose I can only speak for the kind of accounting side, and it may be different for economists or the technical experts, but certainly in our field. Um, when I first started, Vicky was actually already at the firm when I joined, so she's even longer than I am in the profession. But so we joined one of the big four accountants, EY. When we joined, the litigation support group was about 10. So one of the things I think's changed is it's much bigger and it's more of a profession now. It's a legitimate career route that people know about when they train as accountant. When I was training, I mean, this was very new. It was certainly in the UK. I mean, there was a couple of high profile, more litigation than arbitration cases that meant you needed these skills. So these small groups started. And now probably our old department has a couple of hundred people in it. So I think it's much more of a sort of actual career and a sort of profession than it was previously. And there's many more people who do it as their day job now. I mean, there were very few when we first started. So that's one thing. I think another thing is that there is more diversity in it. So not so much in the expert witness field, frankly.
More than there were.
There's more than there were. But I think we're still in the minority as female experts, but tribunals appear to us to be more diverse, certainly. It's now, I mean, generally there is, well, in all forms of diversity, actually, but there's often a female on the panel. But I think as well, the average age is probably younger than it was when we were first started. I mean, certainly probably for the first 10 years of my career, if I went to a hearing, it would have been all men and probably older men. And I think they're more diverse in terms of, geographies, jurisdictions they come from as well. I think so I think it's improving in that sense. I don't think it's fully, but it definitely looks different from when 25 years ago, where it was white men. Now, sometimes it's still white men, but there's other types of other people around as well. So
Sure. Yes.
it looks more diverse. And then just briefly, the third thing that I think is, I think the focus on not being an advocate and being an independent expert is much well understood now. Certainly in the English markets and some others can speak. Certainly in the UK, it's much more recognised, even in arbitration. It always was in litigation, but even in arbitration now, it is much more recognised that our job is as an independent expert to the tribunal and not to advocate a client's position. And I feel like that's something that's significantly changed from 20 years ago.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning this point. Marian, you already told us what drew you towards this kind of work. And since your work has always been involved in complex areas, into environmental damages as well as international arbitration matters, what do you find most intellectually rewarding about it?
I think I would like to say something before I answer you. And is that my passion is always been architecture and changes. I cannot avoid when I arrive to a place to start changing things to make me feel better. And this passion has driven my professional career. And I need this challenge. I need the challenge to see where are the needs, where are the opportunities to accomplish or to change the problems that create needs and to add value. So for me, it's very interesting to make the combination in arbitration or being an expert to combine the rigorous analysis that you need to do going into detail with the strategy and combination with the needs and opportunities you see to add value to the cases you are involved in arbitration or as an expert. that allows you at the end of the day to understand what is happening in the world.
Right.
And this becomes particularly interesting when you need to move beyond the traditional financial damages that I think all experts can do. And you go into the socioeconomic and environmental damages. That is the field I was talking about that really brought me deeper into being and develop my capabilities. You are no longer simply applying evaluation formula. You have to understand the project, the communities, the environment, the economic context, the evidence, and the causal links between events and
All
impacts.
right.
So there is a challenge to build an analysis that is methodologically sound, transparent, and supported by evidence. And the most intellectually rewarding part for me is thinking something that is extremely complex and multidisciplinary and turn it into a clear, defensible analysis that a tribunal can actually use to make the decision. We're here to help the tribunals. I would say a phrase that maybe summarizes all that I'm saying is that an expert is not there, is not before the tribunal to see, to explain the story behind the number and demonstrate how the evidence take us there. And that is, I will say, yeah, rewardings that I found if we can do that being an expert.
Nice. Great. Thank you. And I think it was great listening about your journey of becoming an expert. Next question, I think, Marian, I'll ask you only, since we are already in a discussion. Um, you have worked across multiple jurisdictions and cultures. Do you think perceptions of female experts differ depending on the country or industry or forum in which you're working? What's your thought about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they can differ. And although in my experience, I will say, I will put first culture, industry, and the both combined could be more important than the country itself.
Right.
I have worked across Europe, United States, Latin America, Africa, and in all sectors, in the sectors in that we've been working, they've been historically male dominated, especially in infrastructure, construction, energy, resources. I don't know what the rest of the experts think about it. And in some environments, I think women have to establish her technical authority a little bit faster to prove themselves. And the bias is not necessarily explicit. It can be much subtle. And you can perceive, for example, who is initially assumed to be the senior person in the room, or who is interrupted, or even how confidence or assertiveness is perceived. So there is a lot of behind the scene that we can perceive when we are in these meetings and we are discussing with clients and even with lawyers.
Right.
But I have learned something very important. Once you start the discussion and you go to the substance, when you clearly know the evidence, understand the business, and can defend your methodology, gender very quickly becomes secondary to credibility.
Right.
So I think we need to adapt communication to different cultures and audiences, but keep our professional standards and always our conclusions.
Right. Right.
And
I think I agree with you on that. What's everyone's thought on that? Do you all like agree with what Marian said? Great.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to say it's the technical knowledge and your credibility that is key.
Right.
Nothing to do with your sexuality.
Okay. All right. And younger generation of experts, I would say. Do you think women entering expert services today, you know, when we heard Liz, Vicky, and Marian discuss about the probably some of the challenges, do you think that they face challenges now also, or was it probably more 20, 25 earlier years ago more?
I would say that the barriers have changed, they have not gone, but the big obvious ones have, they are gone. Nobody today would ask whether a woman can be an engineer, because I didn't have to face those kind of questions when I was entering the when I was studying, when I was entering this. um that said, some challenges still remain, particularly around being heard. Then I would say building credibility and environment which is male dominated, like in construction, in infrastructure, even in expert services, we have very few female experts. So those are the challenges which I see. Then there is this, as a younger woman, uh, how much experience you have even before, before asking what your opinion is on that issue. So that is something which I have faced. I have I came up with a solution also. The answer to this, you need to be very well prepared, and it actually works. But then you will have to put extra efforts, extra actually. So this is the one. Then lastly, I would like to say there are, still many women are still not out there in the site environment, in the construction projects. If they are out there, if they are part of the projects today, then they will definitely be the experts in the future.
Right.
So yeah, this one.
Vicky, you said that if credibility is there, then it doesn't matter, if you're a man or a female in that particular case or a matter. But in your experience, has being a woman ever affected the way your expertise was perceived by clients or counsel or opposing experts or tribunals? Any like have you ever experienced that?
So I'll take that question. I think part of the difficulty in answering that question is what Mariam was saying, that you don't really know how other people might perceive you. So you're
Right.
kind of getting. I have two examples of where I did know because things were said. So, and I hope these don't happen anymore, but I pitched for a case once. It was to some male lawyers at a prominent London law firm, and I didn't win it, which is fine. We always don't win everything. But what shocked me is somebody on my team knew one of their team really well, so they'd called them up to just get any feedback. We were wondering if it was fees or what. And they were told, oh, they were looking for more of a white-haired male expert.
Mm.
And that was the reason I didn't win it. And that was in 2020. So I was quite surprised. I wouldn't have thought in 2020, even if someone had sort of thought that, they wouldn't have actually said it out loud, but they did. But anyway, so with some people in the profession, there is still a perception that the expert shouldn't look like any of us. But I think that is much less now than 25 years ago. The first time I testified, which is about 10 years ago-ish,
Right.
maybe 11. When I started, and it was the first time, so I probably wasn't projecting as well as I would now. I'm more conscious of, I've been better trained in how I come across. But the first time I started speaking, and one of the tribunal, who were three, bless them, lovely old men, one of them said to me, "Can you speak up, dear?" And I was pretty shocked that he'd actually called me dear in an arbitration hearing. So that wasn't a great start. And actually, I was thinking, oh God, I was against a man who was much older than me, and everybody else in the room was a male. And so that was really off-putting. And I was thinking, oh no, this isn't a good start. He's he's thinking about me differently. There's no way he would have called the man dear. So, I thought this isn't great. But I did my best. And actually, when we got the judgment, it clearly hadn't impacted the award that was given. They'd gone with my evidence rather than my counterpart. So it's funny. So I think it's really hard to tell how people do perceive. So there was obviously something there. The fact I was a woman, I found out later because I bumped into him at a networking event, and I found out he'd never had a female expert in front of him before. So I was a novelty, and he sort of said it with, I presume he hadn't really thought when he called me dear. But bless him, he introduced me to loads of other male KCs in London as the best female expert he's ever seen. I'm probably the only one. Yeah. But it was really nice. And actually, they all sort of were very nice to me. And I've been in front of some of them since. So I don't think there was actually, in the end, any negative impact by him seeing me as a female rather than an expert. So I don't think it actually affected anything. So it's tricky to say, but I think certainly since that, I've not had anything like that in hearings since in the last 10 years.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yes. And I think that's a lovely experience which you shared. Thank you for that. I think I'll ask a question to all four of you, if anyone wants to jump in and answer that question. We were talking about credibility of an expert. So of course, an expert's credibility is ultimately the most valuable asset. In your experience, any one of you can take up this question. What actually builds credibility as an expert? It's the technical knowledge, communication, confidence, experience, independence, or something else, or all of it. Any one of you who would like to take up this question? It's open to all four of you.
Well, I can go first and then I can throw it in. I mean, in some ways, it has to be all of them because you don't want to say all of these are important. But for me, I think number one is kind of the technical knowledge, because you need to have underlining you are an expert for a reason. Yeah. But if you can't communicate effectively, your technical knowledge isn't going to come across. If you can't present with confidence and clarity, then it's not going to, your technical knowledge is not going to come across. Right. And if you're not independent, you risk sounding like an advocate, and it's not going to put your position across appropriately. So you need to have all of these. Experience helps. I would have probably put that at the bottom, but as I now have gained more experience, you do appreciate what it brings you. But I wouldn't have said that was kind of key. But it does bring more confidence and more understanding, more familiarity. But it was probably, that's my opinion in that kind of order.
All right. Marion, what about you?
I would say that I agree. I agree that we need all of them. And I would like to add a new one, intellectual honesty. Obviously, we all need technical expertise, and we need to know our methodology, the evidence, and the numbers extremely well. And I think the bad is that credibility comes from showing to the tribunal that your conclusion follows from the evidence, rather than selecting the evidence to reach the conclusion we want. That in many cases we find that there is a pressure for us to present things in a certain way, and we need to keep our independence. So that is very important. That is, the conclusion comes from the evidence or follow the evidence. And that means being transparent about the assumptions and the limitations we are working with. And sometimes it's more credible to say, I don't know, or yes, you agree with one point. And in these cases, we don't lose credibility by making a reasonable concession. Often we gain credibility.
Right.
And I would say that an expert that tries to win all the points, all the questions, is a risk of becoming an advocate. And our role is different, is to assist the tribunal.
Right.
So for me, this credibility is a combination of independence with technical rigor, transparency, and the ability to explain complex issues simply before the tribunal.
Great. Thank you. So we have one more addition to the list. Thank you. And okay, so I think next question I would like to ask Shweta. And so for someone coming from a technical and engineering background like yours, the move from analyzing technical evidence to someone, defending your conclusions under questioning can be quite a shift. And I think you can very well relate to that. How do you plan to deal with this experience, and what do you expect out of it?
Honestly, I'll be testifying for the first time. So Liz and Marian and Vicky have already testified. They have years of experience, and I'm glad to know their first experience as well, and that really helps actually. So how I plan to deal with this is that I'm going to apply whatever I've learned so far. I have worked on various numerous arbitration matters. I have worked with the, great experts, and I have been part of the hearing process, and I have, been part of the arbitration process with the lawyers as well. So I kind of have understanding of the entire, the entire chain which is over there. And watching others on the stand and hearing the experts over there, there is one thing which I've realized is that most of the work is done well before you sit on that chair. So your expert report needs to be really robust. It needs to be clear, and it needs to give a clear conclusion. That's what I feel like. A report will stand scrutiny. It will survive questioning if the analysis was done in an honest manner, and if it is explained properly. And I have also seen if an expert overstates anything just to be helping their client of for whatever reasons, the counsel is going to exactly pull those lines, and then he will start questioning you on those aspects. So I think my first line of preparation would be to focus on the expert report first. So so my reports are going to be really clear, and they are clear actually. So I always, put forward what the record supports, and I clearly state when it does not support, and I think that is okay. And then your next is what I expect. So I expect to be nervous, obviously, but I think that's fine. The thing which I don't want to, get into is that I don't want to be surprised over there. So I
Right.
plan to, I plan to read my report thoroughly, and, know my own weaknesses in the report before anyone else is able to find them and, grill me over there. So that is
Right.
the, the strategy which I plan to follow at this point of time. So yeah.
Great. All the best for
Thank
that.
you,
And I'm
thank you.
sure, Shweta, you are taking home today a lot of learning from Marian, Liz, and Vicky with their experience in the industry. So good to hear that, and all the best for that, Shweta.
Thank
Um,
you, thank you.
Vicky and Liz, I would like to ask you both. Um, so let's talk about the moment that many people associate most strongly with expert work is being cross-examined. So what does it actually feel like the first time you are put under that kind of scrutiny? Probably that question will help Shweta for her next matter.
Yeah.
It was a while back, but I remember, I think the worst thing was like I had about half a morning when I was waiting to be called, and that those 3 hours were the longest 3 hours of my life waiting for it. Um, but when you start, everything comes a lot calmer. I think the waiting is the worst. Your adrenaline levels are high. Um, and I think for me, particularly the first time, I was desperate to impart all of the knowledge that I thought relevant. And you have to really concentrate to listen and answer the questions that are being asked to you, rather than I agree. I think I completely agree with you. The important part is in the preparation and having an honest, appropriate expert report. But actually, when you get to the stand, it's then answering the questions appropriately, listening to the questions and answering them appropriately. And I have to say, the first time I didn't tell my counsel, I think you're being very brave. I didn't tell them it was my first experience. They didn't guess. So hopefully, they just said it went well, thank goodness, and they didn't say anything about it being the first time. So I'm impressed you're being so honest with it as well. Well done.
Wow.
But it's getting through it.
Great. And And Liz, do you think you can prepare someone for cross examination, or is it something that you really only learn through your own experiences when you actually go there?
So I think it's actually a combination of both. I think you do get better with time, because what I hadn't appreciated before I did it the first time really is it's a new skill. It's not, I'd written good reports and done good analysis for 10 or 15 years before I testified. I kind of thought, oh, I'm a good accounting expert, but actually the testifying is a new skill, and you've actually not learned it. You don't learn it writing reports. So I think it is a new skill. So I think in it, and I think you do get better with experience for sure. I would say I do a better job now than I might have those first few times. But I think there are things you can do to make sure you do as well as you can, even if you are lacking experience. One of them is knowing your report inside out. So what Shweta's saying is absolutely right. That's the absolute key to it, is knowing your work, your own work, and everything sort of around it. So preparing in that sense. But I think actually some of the expert witness training that's available is worth doing, the advocacy kind of training or the cross-examination training. I did one where they videoed you. So you had a mock cross-examination, which was videoed, and then it was played back, and someone pointed out all the things I was doing wrong. And it was incredibly embarrassing and painful, but it was extremely helpful, because you don't know yourself how you come across, and some of the things you do that might not come across very well in the court. So I think that actually, if you get there is good training. Certainly in the UK, so I don't know about other jurisdictions, but there is some good training. But you want one where they actually video, because they can tell you it, and that's fine. You don't really need
Right.
someone to, because if you've been in arbitrations with your, supporting partners for years, which most of us have before we do it the first time, you've seen it, you think you know it, but it's only when you practice yourself and then you do, like Vicky said, she wanted to give all knowledge she had in her head. I did different things wrong, but you do things wrong and then you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I mustn't be doing that. So I think you can get some training, and if you can't find some training, get your friend to video
Right.
you, ask you some questions and video you, and then you can kind of see, like, if you say a lot or a lot, or just some sort of weird things you do suddenly under pressure that you wouldn't normally do, that, and then you're aware of them, and then you can be mindful of that and not trying to do that when you answer questions. But yeah, equally you do get better with experience, because it's a new skill. It's something new that we don't do.
Right.
It's our normal life. Someone asking you every hard question they can think of and trying to catch you out. We don't normally have to do that in normal life. So yeah, do
Right.
anything you
Right.
can to get yourself ready for it the first time.
Absolutely. And Marian, you have provided testimony in international arbitration matters. What are some of the challenges an expert faces before an expert takes a stand?
I will focus that we need to prepare our mindset. That is a challenge. We need really the challenge. Let me rephrase. The challenge is to remain calm. We know the analysis we have done. We know our case. So staying calm, listen carefully, and having focus and the objective to help the tribunal to understand should be the challenges that we need to manage and prepare very carefully before we go to the stand. The cross-examination is not about defending every inch, every point in our report. It's about demonstrating that our opinion can withstand scrutiny. And when we are in front of the tribunal, they could be really, really hard. Sometimes I find cases that try to go under my skin. And we need to keep very calm. The calmness and the listening, understanding well where they're asking are the challenges that if we can master, allow us to focus, to understand, and to look for the answers they really need to understand our proposals, our report, our analysis, our methodology. Those are points that is the mindset we have when we go in front of the tribunal. Need to be, for me, our priority to manage the different challenges. Each case will bring us at different levels, let's say.
I'm sure. I saw Shweta was thoroughly listening to you while you were mentioning these points. Great. No, I absolutely agree with you,
I will
Marian, on
say
that.
we don't win. I mean, there is like a misconception that the hearing is where we win or lose the case,
Right,
and we are not losing or winning a case. We are helping to
right.
the tribunal to take these decisions.
Hmm.
So that is one of the challenges that we need to be very focused. Some cases our reports are excellent, but it's the counsel and the strategy of the case that don't bring us to win the case. Let's say the case as a whole.
Right,
In some cases, the experts win the case, but counsel loses the case. So it's
right,
a combination of where we stand in these challenges to defend our work, our methodology, our analysis, our evidence, all the chains with transparency and independence that allow us to give credibility to the
hmm.
tribunal of the work we have done.
Right, right. Great. Um, let's move to the next segment, which is mentorship and building the next generation. I'm sure that in our careers, we have that one person probably who has helped us and who has been like a role model. I'm sure Vicky and Liz had each other since the beginning. But Marian, I would like to ask you, looking back at your career, who or what helped you most in becoming the expert you are today? Maybe a mentor, a sponsor, particular colleague, a difficult case, or simply an experience, which actually helped you to become an expert that you are.
It's a combination of all of them.
Hmm.
But I would say people who trusted me with opportunities and the difficult cases.
Right.
Difficult cases are a challenge, but wow, they open so many doors. And never say no.
Yeah.
When you have a challenge, go for it.
Hmm.
Do a deep diving, innovate. Challenge are opportunities for innovations, and we need to keep innovating in this sector.
Right.
For example, now, as I told all of you, I'm very involved with environmental and socioeconomic climate change damages. There is very little about it in terms of, I mean, not that it's very little. We are at the starting of all this new sector in terms of standards and methodologies.
Right.
But this is opportunity to develop. So in many cases, you will find these opportunities. And even we need to challenge that the standards we have are not the correct ones due to current circumstances or the methodologies needs to improve. So these difficult cases, I think they are being key
Really
for
helped.
my development to be able to open new doors for many people. And of course, to be working with experienced professionals across different disciplines and countries. That is a tremendous adding value. We need to absorb continuously from the knowledge of these outstanding experts and lawyers in our teams. That is
Right.
that is key. Um, and what I will recommend, well, that is maybe coming into the new. I don't know, I should talk about it, about the new generations that
Hmm.
don't put limits to ourselves.
Right.
Go forward. Don't be afraid.
Right.
Trust yourself, your knowledge. And if you don't know, doesn't matter. Study, research. There is no limit We need to
Right.
push the current structures. That is what I would say, and finding new opportunities.
No, that's actually a very great advice. Actually, a good advice. And I think the next question is similar for Liz and Vicky as well. As Marian suggested to the next generation, as a senior woman in the profession, what do you think? Since you both have been in the profession for 25, more than 25 years, what can probably you guys do to make the path easier for the next generation, or senior women in the profession, what they can do to make the path easier for the next generation?
So I think from my perspective, I try and be a good role model as an expert. And so if the more counsel and lawyers see female experts day to day and they're good and they're used to, they get more and more used to seeing female experts, and the more tribunals get used to seeing female experts, the more commonplace it is. It's not anything special. And then I think we're getting there. We're not there. I think the research from the ERE group, the equality group, I can't remember what it stands for now, but anyway, it's the for experts equality anyway.
Equal representation.
Equal representation for experts, thank you. Their latest research was female experts still are only about 5 to 10% of experts
Right.
operate in international arbitration. So it is actually still a worryingly low percentage. But so my view is that I need to be a really good expert. And so as much as possible, people I interact with get used to seeing good female experts, and it just becomes the norm. I think separately, I would add, Vicky and I are proud of the fact that we've founded a boutique practice that does expert work as females. I don't think there are any other female expert founded practices around, to our knowledge anyway. And we're proud of that. And I would view that as also being hopefully sort of encouraging for the generations of female experts coming through, that you can be a female expert and you can even set up your own practice as one. And, we're still here 3.5 years later. So people have, obviously trusted us and given us work, or we would have not be still here. So hopefully that is, provides some inspiration for some people coming up through the ranks.
And we'll acknowledge we have a third female partner.
There is a third female partner.
Yes, yes, Debbie could not make it to the webinar today, but it's so good to see senior professionals like Vicky, Liz, Marian, who are there to guide the future generation. And I'm sure a lot of networking really helps these people, the female experts who are entering into the business. Probably Shweta I'm sure she has taken up so many advices today, and I'm sure that you all going to be like amazing role models for the next generation who comes in.
Thank you.
So I think I have one question, because the AI has got into the business, and AI tools are increasing. It's increasingly being used in research, data modeling, even drafting as well. Are you all like getting equipped with AI in the practice? If so, then when did you start first integrating it, and what convinced you that it was worth the shift? I can start with Marian, and if anybody wants to add to this, please feel free.
I think AI is opportunity for all of us, and we need to take it and use as a help in our business. We don't need to be afraid. We are at the beginning of this new era, and we all need to learn on the way.
Right.
And it was, I don't know if you heard about Madrid Open. That is Javier Iscar, who runs the show internationally. They dedicated one section to artificial intelligence, and it was amazing. The feeling and how you could get deeper into the message that Javier was trying to communicate. He brought us to the Greece Homeros, and all the knowledge that is being accumulated through years and years, thousands of years in our history, and how we've been using this information to build ourselves and our judgment. So
Right,
his message was very clear. Artificial intelligence is here to help us, but not to
right,
take our judgment. Our judgments is human, is based in our values and principles, and we need to continue developing it. And in experts for experts, that is critical, is
right,
our judgment. We can use the tool to research, to get information. At the same time, we need to make sure this information is true. We know all the gaps we have at the moment, but this is improving. And improving will give more opportunities. And the main opportunity I see is, as an expert, we will have more time to dedicate to really analyze what is needed and to make better judgments and conclusions to offer to the tribunals for them to take the right decisions.
absolutely, absolutely. Shweta, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So about AI, I mean, so I have been using AI for last 2.5 years, and I would say it is one of the best supporting tools. So like in our construction projects, we get volume of data because our projects are running for 7 to 8 years in some instances. So we have volume of data which we need to analyze. But then extracting this certain information, on monthly basis, on yearly basis, it will take a lot of manual time basically. If you're using your team members, it will consume a lot of time. So this AI tools are actually helping us in extracting those information so that you can better spend your time in analyzing and focus on the analytical part of it instead of spending your time on the extraction part. So I
Hmm.
think definitely AI is the future, and everybody should integrate AI systems into their works because they are really helpful and are great time savers also. So yeah.
Abs- Absolutely correct, correct. I totally agree with that. Okay, so before we close, quick rapid fire round for all four of you. I'll take your name and I'll ask a question. You don't have to overthink this. As per your experience, as per your knowledge, whatever comes to your mind, just answer that question. Okay. Okay, I'll start with Marian. One quality every expert needs:
Integrity.
integrity. Okay, Shweta. One skill you wish you had developed earlier.
Legal awareness.
Okay. Vicky, this question is for you. One misconception about expert witnesses you'd like to correct.
That they're an advocate for their client. They shouldn't be. They should be an independent and with a duty to the tribunal.
Correct. All right. Liz, this is for you. Preparation or experience, which matters more?
Preparation. If you don't know your report, you're going to get unstuck.
All right. Marian, for you, one word you associate with cross-examination.
Listening.
All right.
Mm.
And Vicky, this is for you. If you could give your younger professional self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be confident. You've got this.
Great. Okay, complete the sentence. I'll go one by one to all four of you, and you have to complete the sentence. The future of women in expert witness work is for you, Liz.
Rosie.
Great. For you, Marian, the future of work in expert witness work is
Amazing.
great. Shweta, for you,
I would say unstoppable.
and Vicky, for you.
Future looks excellent.
Great. So Rosie, excellent, unstoppable. Great, great. We have one question from the participant, and that's for Shweta. The question is, has the field of construction been particularly challenging as a woman in this field?
See, I would say yes, because when I started out, after, graduating from construction management,
Hmm.
so you won't believe out of 200, members in the construction department, I was the only female member at that point of time. So, and all of them, because I had just joined, I came fresh out of college, and all of them were, really experienced persons over there. So I really, I faced few challenges where they would, judge me on certain aspects, because they wanted me to be on site on the first day itself and learn everything. And then when I came, I went to site for some time, but when I came back, after certain time, they were expecting me to know everything, and then they were judging on every aspect. So I think that that's something I faced over there, because I think the older generation who have been in the industry for more than 30-35 years, they expect you to be on the side all the time. And obviously it is challenging for females because of various reasons, maybe commute over there, the facilities over there, the hardship which are there on the construction projects. So yes, but luckily in my first firm, I got good opportunities. I had good mentors over there, and I could work on multiple sites with ease. And I was able to build the kind of experience which I have now, and I'm able to use in my construction dispute domain. So yeah.
Great, great. I would like to thank. So I hope the question which the participant asked must have been answered. Thank you, Shweta, for taking that up. Um, I would like to thank you, Vicky, Liz, Marian, and Shweta, for sharing your experiences, your insights, and your perspectives with us today. I'm sure the journey which you have shared, the challenges that which you have shared, and for the future generation, the advice and the kind of role models you are. I think this will really help our future female expert witnesses who are coming into this business. I think what comes through very clearly from this conversation is that being an expert is about far more than just technical expertise. It is about the independence, credibility, integrity, communication, resilience, and having the confidence to stand behind your profession, to behind your professional opinion. So, thank you to everyone who joined us today. We hope you found the discussion insightful and inspiring. And most importantly, we hope it encourages more women to see expert witness work as a profession in which they can build a strong and lasting career. Again, thank you to our wonderful panel. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Marian. Thank you, Shweta, for taking out time and attending and participating in this webinar.
Thanks to
Thank you,
you
Soumya,
for
for
this
this amazing
opportunity.
discussion.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great. Bye. Thank you so much,
Bye
everyone.
all. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.